Does technology help in building and strengthening relationships with shippers, carriers, and employees? And if so, in what ways?
Well, the basic principle behind being a third party logistics company, sometimes you're the furthest person away from the data, right? So you rely on the data that you're receiving from the customers, you're relying on the data you receive from the carriers, and really what you're looking for is how can we access that data and make it easy for you to do business. So for an example, tracking. So, drivers don't like to be, they don't like to receive tracking calls. Dispatchers don't like to receive tracking calls, but we have to have that data. And so how do you actually go about getting the data, but making it easy and giving carriers the option on how they actually, transmit that data to you? So whether you have an app or whether you're API'd into their web portal because they actually have the data there, it's just the options. And usually phone call is the one that they'll give you the most resistance on because they're busy, they're doing other things. So they don't want to be bothered. So, that's an example of kind of one of the things. And then obviously there's, as technology becomes more an inherent skill of kind of the new generation, there are just certain people that want to deal with their transportation partners via technology. There are some people that don't want a lot of human interaction for anything, whether it's booking it, whether it's tracking it, whether it's transmitting their paperwork, whether it's getting paid. They just want to be able to do things on their own terms. And I think that, what we're kind of building most of our, technology or designing most of our technology around, or who we're partnering with, is how do we solve those problems for, our people, whether it's a shipper or whether it's a customer or whether it's a carrier. And that's kind of what we're focused on.
Yeah, I mean, I think, just to paraphrase a little bit of what I heard you say is, what technology helps to do is kind of eliminate some of that friction, some of that latency that, slows down the interactions, right? And the processes that take place between shippers, carriers, and logistics, service providers. And, the way the relationships are managed today, or there's different levels to it. Part of it is you want as much lights out as possible and human interaction as possible, because the speed of the business is just so quickly, right? I mean, you got to get shipments out, there are deliver by dates that you have to hit and so forth. And if there's a lot of phone calls or manual processing taking place, that just complicates, being able to meet those more stringent service requirements. And that can fray relationships if you don't are able to meet that. But on the other hand, we all know that exceptions occur, and that's really where the people should be, focused on, is on those exceptions and managing it, as effectively as possible when the automation is not able, breaks down because of whatever the case might be, right?
You are exactly right. I mean, managing by exception is a perfect, that's a perfect segment into that. That is exactly, back when I first was in this industry, you had to call every carrier, you had to call every dispatch on every single shipment multiple times in the progression of that shipment. And today we can, on at least 50% of our freight, we can manage by, exception, because, we have the information readily available. And so that is, that's a perfect way to put it up there. And that's exactly, the benefit of having some of these technology platforms that are available to us.
Yeah, well, and the reality is, I mean, you're a growing company. Many companies in this industry are growing. The amount of freight out in the industry is growing. It's just impossible to scale your business and scale your operations if you didn't move into this more automated, technology-driven, environment. I think that's just just reality in order to be able to, manage your growth, effectively.